Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm in the plant room here, surrounded by tropical trees from all over the world. And today I'm going to give you a tour of the plant room and show you some updates to some of the trees. In the plant room here, I have a central aisle that I can walk in, and I'm surrounded by trees on all sides. So I have the front bench, which has the south-facing windows, and I've got 3 grow lights above the front bench that provide light on cloudy days like today. On the end bench, I have 2 grow lights. I only have one on at the moment. And on the right hand side here, I also have 2 grow lights above the trees here. So I fit all my tropical trees in here, and I still have a space to walk, which is good. So I'll start the tour of the trees now. So we'll start in this corner. So here is the lychee tree that Zin started from a seed, and then he gave me a young seedling. It's doing really well, looks really nice and healthy. Beside that is my ficus rumphii. Some people call this the ficus religiosa, but it's not the true ficus religiosa. It doesn't have the drip tips on the end of the leaves. Similar shaped leaf, a heart-shaped leaf, and it's doing really well. I don't know if you can see it here. Yeah, it's doing fine. Lots of aerial roots forming, look good and healthy. Behind that is that medium leaf size ficus benjamina that I pruned to create a windswept. And you can see there's a lot of new growth forming on it now, which is exciting. It'll fill out quite nicely, I think, over the winter. In the front here I have my yellow hibiscus, and it is blooming today. And it looks spectacular. I love the yellow flowers. And it's doing well. It looks really healthy. Not too much going on with the trunk yet. It's still a bit of a stick in a pot, but it's slowly making progress. Behind that is a tiny ficus religiosa. And behind that is my rubber tree forest, ficus elastica. And it's growing really well. You can see all the new leaves up top. It looks a little purpley because these lights have kind of a purple tinge to them. Yeah, so that's looking really good. So that is going to need pruning, fairly soon. It's taking up a lot of space in the plant room here. It kind of robs light to these trees behind it. So in front of that is a ficus here, and I think it's like a green island ficus or green mound ficus. This was another one that Florence grew from a seed. In front of that I have my dragon style Schefflera. Here it is here. It's growing really well, nice and healthy. These aerial roots, they touched the soil, but they didn't root. And then over the summer they kind of dried up a bit, but now they've kind of reactivated. So that's exciting. You can see new aerial root coming off the trunk there. So this tree hasn't been in the plant room here very long yet. You can also see all the roots growing out from the bottom of the pot here. Behind that is my Moreton Bay fig, also one of Florence's trees. So I repotted that and pruned it recently. There's no activity on it yet, but it's still nice and green. In the front here is 2 ficus cuttings that I got at a club meeting. No one wanted them, so I brought them home. And I don't know what kind they are. I think it's like I'm not sure. Maybe like a melon seed ficus or something. Small leaves, compact growth. So I'm just growing those. Behind that is my silk floss tree. It's looking a bit ugly at the moment. I cut it off here. And yeah, I'm kind of regrowing the top of the tree, but it's looking good. It's nice and healthy. All the new growth in the plant room here looks really good. Behind that is that cutting off my Frankenficus. So that's a medium leaf Ficus benjamina. And I rooted that in case I wanted to grow, you know, a new root over tree on top of this one if I needed some branches, but I don't think I do. I think this one will grow quite nicely as it is. So I'll keep this on hand just in case, you know, I need it in the future, but I don't think I will, so maybe eventually I'll give it away. Here is a Ficus microcarpa. This was a cutting. It had some good taper and movement, and I hated throwing away the cutting, so I rooted it. But that's a tree I can give away. The only reason I can't give it away is it's in a pot made by Eldon Lease, one of the founders of the KW Bonsai Society, so I don't want to give this pot away. Beside that is another Ficus religiosa, my smallest one. It's like getting close to 30 years old, and it's just a little tree. It's doing really well. It's got good growth up top. It'll need pruning back soon to keep it small. Behind that is my pink pixie bougainvillea. It's a little yellowy looking at the moment, but it's starting to green up. I don't think it liked the cold weather in the greenhouse, so that's just come into the plant room recently. Behind that is my clump style rubber tree forest. If I can get in here to show it to you. Yeah, there's all kinds of new aerial roots growing off the base. So this is a clump style, and they're starting to fuse together, and I just planted as one tree now. They were all just cuttings off of the forest here. Here is a grafted tree. So Mike in the club, in the Toronto club, grafted a branch onto an aerial root. So this is what's left of the auction ficus. This is what I have of the auction ficus. So it's a tiger bark ficus, and it's doing well. I'll have to pot it up someday and get it underway as a bonsai. Back here is the Cascade style hibiscus, the fire and ice hibiscus. Almost forgot its name there. Yeah, it's doing well. Over here I have my other hibiscus, my larger leaf one. So I pruned this one up recently. This is the back of the tree. And there's new shoots coming out all over now. So it's just starting to react to the pruning by sending out all kinds of branches, which is exciting. Behind that is the Ficus microcarpa plain. And you can see all the new roots growing in all around the trunk here. Yeah, it's amazing. Beautiful radial roots, so that's good. Behind that is my carpoke tree, or kapok tree. Looking really good, growing. The trunk is starting to thicken up and get more woody. And I've got a bunch of cuttings planted around it that are doing well also. And then over here I have the Ficus microcarpa from the year 2000 cutting, and that's planted in one of Enzo's pots, these freeform concrete pots. Not much of a reaction on it yet, but it's coming. And then here's the tiger bark ficus that was repotted and pruned up recently also, and it's just starting to get some new growth on it, so that'll be coming. Behind that is my bloodwood tree or logwood tree. I pruned it up. It was starting to send out all kinds of new shoots. I pruned it up and the growth kind of stopped. So all those branches I pruned don't have new buds at the tips. So I don't know if I did the right thing, or I just have to be patient and wait for it to flush out. Behind that are my, now what are they? I'm thinking, I know the name of them. It's a tropical fruit tree. We'll come back to that one. I'll think of it. Beside that are my cashew trees. I hard pruned the one cashew down, the tallest one, and you can see it died back quite a bit, but then sprouted all kinds of new branches at the base. And then the other one I kept, it's a smaller tree, it's looking good, getting branches. Here is my ficus cutting of a cutting, and this is one of the earlier ones that I repotted and pruned up, and you can see there's all kinds of new growth coming out all over the tree, which is really good. In front of that is my ficus religiosa that I just pruned up recently on a video and repotted. So that just came in the plant room today, so there's no change on that yet. Over here is my powder puff, and it's getting huge. The branches just grow like really long and spindly, so you have to cut it back many times to get a thick branch, or let it just run and grow and then cut it back. But it's looking really good. In front of that is my Norfolk Island pine forest. It's doing well also. It was pruned recently, so there's not much happening with it yet. And over here is the bluebell that I got from Johnny. I got it defoliated and it was just starting to grow back in, and now you can see it's really thick with growth and leaves, looking really good. And then on the end down here I have all my succulents. So I have my baobab trees in the corner there. They'll just stay leafless and dormant for the whole winter, and I don't water those at all. And then I've got various succulents in here. The crown of thorns, the climbing aloe, the copper spoon, and the killer tree, and the elephant tree down there. Yeah, so that's all my succulents. They stay dry in the corner there. In front here I have my Chinese village penjing. So I pruned that quite hard, and you can see all the new growth coming in on the trees. Looks really good. I took the village buildings out, so I'm just going to grow it this winter without any buildings. It's easier to water, and then in spring I can put the buildings back and finish the landscaping. Behind that is my very first bonsai, my Ficus microcarpa, that I cut all the aerial roots off, and I'm regrowing those aerial roots into finer roots, and they'll be thinned in the future. And it's in a big wide plastic training tray. Here are some what are they? It says on it mimosa, no, yeah, some kind of mimosa, I think. Beside that, I have my Vietnam style Ficus microcarpa. So I repotted this recently, and you can see how healthy it is. All kinds of new growth coming. Looks really good. Behind that is my limeberry seedlings that I got from Mike from the Toronto Club. And behind that are the Queensland bottle trees. I got that from Michael from the KW Club. He grew them from seed. And then over here I have my Ficus microcarpa fancy, and it's doing really well. I opened it up recently in a video, and it should fill in quite dense over the winter. And over here I have, this is the back of it, but my Australian umbrella tree. I pruned that up recently, and you can see all the new growth coming in on it now. It's looking good. And in the back corner here, somewhere under there, is a bonsai. That is my dwarf Schefflera banyan style planting, and you can't see it. It's just covered in foliage, yeah, I'm just growing it. So I'm gonna let it grow all winter here and maybe all next summer, and that should really thicken it up. So that's in the growing phase. And I don't have these lights on because I only have a limited electrical supply in this room. So I can only keep the front bank of lights on one day, and then tomorrow these all go off and I switch all these backlights on. So I take turns. And the plants really seem to like it. They like that one day of intense sun, the next day kind of resting, the next day intense sun again. Yeah, it seems to keep them really healthy. So down here I have my root over temple, my first root over temple Ficus benjamina. It's doing really well. I pruned that up recently and you can see how dense it's already filling in. It's amazing, these ficus. Over here in the back corner is my Moreton Bay ficus that I pruned up and repotted recently. That's from Florence also. In front of that is the fire and ice hibiscus cutting that I got from Connor. That was pruned up recently. In front of that is some of my mini bonsai. There's a selection of ficus, grasses, and the parrot's beak in small pots there. Over here is my Natal ficus that I recently pruned up and repotted on a video. No activity on that yet, but that'll come soon, I hope. And behind that is my Toprom temple, and you can see it's filling out quite nicely. There's lots of new aerial roots forming. I'll have to thin those out once again. In front of that is my Brazilian rain tree. It's doing well. It's starting to get a lot of fluting on the trunk. Getting, the trunk's gone from a round trunk to this kind of oblong trunk. That's how they grow. So there's no indoor growth on it yet. There's maybe this shoot is new, but not too much yet, but that'll come. In front of that is my saberleaf ficus, and this is going to need a prune. It's getting very tall. It needs pruning. And it's doing really well. I keep repotting it and root pruning it, severely root pruning it, and it just keeps filling the pot up with roots. So that'll be coming on a video soon where I'll repot this tree and prune it up. But it's growing quite well. Behind that is my tamarind tree. I got this as a seedling from, I forget who gave that to me, someone from the Kitchener Club. Yeah, this is its second winter. Behind that is my willow leaf ficus with the little alligator on it that Jay gave me. Gives it that Florida feel with the gator. Behind that is the Ficus benjamina from Zinn. And down here I have a date palm. I've got my little rubber tree planting here, and that's putting out new buds. That'll be leafing out soon, the new growth. Behind that is the Frankenficus, medium leaf Ficus benjamina. It's starting to get all kinds of new growth on it. Looking really good. I'm sure by the end of winter that'll have filled out quite nicely. Behind that is a variegated Ficus benjamina from Zinn, a clump style. Over here is my two little leaf ficus. In front of that is a tiger bark ficus I got from a Tropical Expressions workshop. And in front of that is my Bert Davii ficus with the lion down here. And it's doing well. And over here is my banyan tree, my Ficus bengalensis. And I pruned that up recently. No activity on it yet, but that'll come. So that is a tour of all the trees in the plant room here. And I absolutely love being in here. I just sit down here on the floor and I'm just surrounded by this tropical rainforest. And I just love it. I don't know, in the middle of winter you come in here and it's warm and humid and there's all these tropical trees. And it's just a good feeling. Even though, you know, it's twice as crowded as I would like it, but in the summer when all the trees go out in the benches and the greenhouse, if they make it through winter, fine, it's worthwhile. I enjoy growing all these different species of trees and styles, and yeah, it's a real joy to be in this plant room in the winter. I remembered the name of the tree that I couldn't think of here. That's jackfruit. Yeah, and you can see the sun's coming out. You can see the sun on the trees now. So these trees on the front bench here, in the winter, they get the low sun shining in, and it's quite bright in this plant room. Even the trees on the back here get sunlight in the winter on sunny days. The only trouble is we don't get very many sunny days in winter. Most of the time it's cloudy or snowing or raining. So yeah, the artificial lights really boost the trees. They really help get the trees through the winter nice and healthy. The biggest thing I have to keep up on is insects, scale insects. That's my main problem. And sometimes I get white fly. I've had mealy bugs, but that's not very common. Mainly scale insects. So yeah, I just have to keep my eyes out, inspect the trees. If I notice an insect problem, take them out to the greenhouse, give them a spa day, spray them down, pick off all the scale, and get them back in here. So we'll see how it goes. At the moment, everything's looking good and green and healthy, and I hope they look even better by the end of winter. That was a tour of all my tropical trees that I have in the plant room, at least so far. I still have a few more to move in for 2024 and 2025 winter. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.